The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." Then Peter said, "Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone?" And the Lord replied, "Who then is the faithful and prudent steward whom the master will put in charge of his servants to distribute the food allowance at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. Truly I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his property. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delayed in coming,' and begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come on an unexpected day and at an unknown hour, and will punish the servant severely and assign him a place with the unfaithful. That servant who knew his master's will but did not make preparations nor act in accord with his will shall be beaten severely. And the servant who is ignorant of his master's will but acted in a way deserving of severe beating shall be beaten only lightly. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more." The Gospel of the Lord. It seems that as we get closer to the end of the liturgical year that Jesus, his mood changes a bit, and he gets a little more demanding. Seems like he's in a bad mood, perhaps. So let's see if we can make some sense of this. I remember as a young kid, the first video games that came out that you attached to your television, and I think it was Atari, and Pong was the game, and there's three of us, my brother and sister, and so only two could play at a time. So eventually, my mom or dad would say, "Okay, your turn is up, it's now her turn or his turn." And we all know what that meant. We were encouraged to share, because sharing is good. Well, it didn't feel good. It felt like something was being taken away, that nothing was being given to me in sharing. I had to give up the controller of Pong and give it to somebody else. This whole sharing racket was just an excuse to kind of keep the peace. I think that if we lose sight of what the promises of God are, that we can fall into this way of thinking about Christianity, that God, or Jesus in this case, is constantly asking us, okay, it's time to put down your toy and give it to somebody else, and you just sit there and suffer quietly. That's not Christianity. Christianity is the opposite. It's hard, it's difficult to understand, but in sharing, there is life that is given to us. It's not putting something down. It's gaining something much, much richer than whatever we had in our hand at the moment. This is the mystery that Paul speaks of in the letter to the Ephesians at the beginning. The gift of God's grace and this mystery that has been revealed in Christ. The mystery is that in sharing and giving, much, much more is to be received.